Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heart of. My name is Michael, as you know. It's my pleasure to talk to Cody today, who is a local author who wrote Spirit Beasts, Echoes of the Moon. I really like the cover art. It's really cool. I think it's one of my favorite things about the book. It's a great coming of age story. I'm reading it. I'm a slow reader. You can find it on Amazon. And Cody, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I'm even more excited to not be at work to be here.
Yeah, no, it's great. So, how have you been? Anything you've been watching, reading?
Actually, so my recent binge watch is totally not related to anything that I write at all, but sometimes I'm like, I really need some like emotional story to like really get me in the mood for writing. So I decided This Is Us was going to be that binge. 3.5 seasons later, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I did not need to feel the things I thought I needed to feel to write. So now I'm watching Power Rangers.
Oh, man. Um, yeah, no, you know what? This Is Us is a show where I'll see clips on YouTube, like the great almighty algorithm.
Yeah.
Will be like, oh, do you want this? It's that and Shameless.
Oh, love that show. That should have been the show I picked.
I have a coworker who's going through all the seasons.
Oh, I think I watched all of the seasons, and then the last season came out and it was totally different
Yeah.
from all the other seasons. And I was like, this just isn't it, I guess, anymore. So it was a good thing it was their last season because I had no interest after that.
Yeah. Which actually leads me to my I guess my first question. Um, is there a particular type of storytelling that you need to like inspire you to do your thing?
I think it all depends on how I'm personally feeling in the moment. Like sometimes I'm like, I really need something as creative as what I think I'm doing. So to
Yeah.
get into writing Spirit Beasts, I think what sparked the idea was watching season one of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was like, wow, imagine if we could just throw a card and a monster came out. And I was like, that would be fun, but I literally can't do that because Yu-Gi-Oh's done that already, and I can't make that cooler than Yu-Gi-Oh. And so I was like, let me just watch Pokemon because that would be an even more fun thing to kind of like
I
make a
got
play on.
Pokemon vibes.
That's what I was aiming for. That's what I was hoping for so heavily. I watched the first like 12 seasons of Pokemon while I was writing the beginning of that book, and I was just like, holy crap, this show goes on forever. I need something else.
Yeah.
And then I think I stopped binge watching in that moment because I was like heavily focused on actually getting that story finished because it was the closest I had ever gotten to finishing a project
Yeah.
this in depth. And I was like, I need to really buckle down on this. So I went from like 2,000 words a day to like 8,000 words a day for 2 weeks. And then I was like, I have to stop now and
Yeah.
just breathe.
I found like so I just wrote a script called Faith. And
Mm-hmm.
I got the I don't know how much if you know the band Coheed and Cambria.
Yes.
Okay, so I got the story from their Afterman album. I really like the AI All Mother, and I wanted to do like a happy version of that. So I was like, oh, I can't listen to. I loved the album, so I would listen to it. I'd listen to it and be like, okay, there's
Mm-hmm.
a point where I have to stop listening to it, so I just don't kind of subconsciously write that
Yeah, just rewrite it completely.
like with different words.
That's why I brought in a couple of the things that I brought in to the book. I was like, it's really starting to look a lot like Pokemon, and it can't be everything that I'm doing because then it's just Pokemon, and we've seen that. So it's like, let me throw in some playing cards really quick to add to that a little bit.
For the cover art, did you just like get someone to? I really like this cover art. It kind of reminds me of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, so I found a Fiverr artist actually. I have no talent whatsoever. It is a blessing that I was able to find the words to finish the book. The Fiverr artist was incredible. Lorraine S, I swear, like go to her for book covers. I literally messaged her very specifically, just I need destruction and chaos, and I need my readers to know that things are about to happen in this book, and we can't come back from it at this point.
Yeah.
And I sent her an image that was like sort of like Ash Ketchum, and I was like, I need him to kind of look like Ash Ketchum on the cover, like a little bit. And she sent me a version with the hat, and I was like, never mind. I need you to remove the hat, and I need this to be not Ash Ketchum anymore.
Caven reminded me of Richter Belmont from Castlevania Nocturne. That,
Oh.
so he has like this very blue suit. Well, suit's a strong word. He has a blue outfit with like a headband, and it's the same kind of brown hair, and it's the same shade of blue. So I kind of got Castlevania vibes when I first looked at it. And then the figure in the back reminded me of Monsoon from Metal Gear Rising.
Oh, the figure in the background is my favorite figure because he doesn't technically have anything to do with this book at all, but
Yeah,
he's a preface for everything that's going to happen in the Echoes of the Moon series in general, which is just like I can't wait to be able to bring Lehman Nunu into the thick of things because I think he's my favorite character in this whole series altogether right now.
that's really cool. So just in terms of when you have people read, so I just played this game called Vemba,
Mhm.
and I took from it, I think maybe a very different message, and I've done this with other movies, games, than maybe what the creator had intended. When people read your work, writing, book, whatever have you, and let's say they, at that point, it's like it's in your hands. Whatever you think, whatever you relate to it most about, whatever you think about is valid. Or do you try to be like, no, 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 what I wanted it to be about was this.
Um, gosh. So I think at the end of the day, with this book in particular, I don't think I had a specific, this is what I want people to think when they read the book. Because for me, it was really just like telling this really fun Pokemon adventure and also hinting at ending the world at like 500 years after it's already ended.
Yeah,
I was just kind of like, I want to create this huge mass destruction in this piece of literature, but also bring in cool monsters that are kind of like bonded to us and controlled by us at the same time.
it's really cool.
So I want people to see destruction.
Yeah,
How they feel about it, I am interested to know how people feel about the destruction in the book.
there's a great documentary. I don't know if you ever heard of it called Indie Game the Movie.
I have not.
So it follows three developers. First was Super Team Meat. They did Super Meat Boy. The other was Jonathan Blow, who did Braid, and then I forget his name, but he did. There was a third game in there as well that I'm completely blanking on. Fez. The game was Fez. I just forget who created Fez. Um, and one of the interviews they did with Jonathan Blow was like, I got depressed when the game came out. Sure, people were giving me praise, but they weren't like they didn't get to the heart of what I thought made the game special. So I think it's interesting because for me, when I put something out there, I just want people to interact with it. I think that's probably the highest compliment someone can give me
Mm-hmm.
is when they really took the time to like um, tell me what's good, what's bad, really give me what they think the material is about.
See, I think that the reading base for the book so far has been so small. I haven't had the chance to really think about that yet. But for me, releasing this book was really just a lot of like for me
Yeah,
and like by me for me, because I've spent a lot of my life trying to finish one book that I have yet to finish, but am very much almost there finally. And I think for this book specifically, it was just me proving to myself that I could do it and I'm going to get it out there. I'm going to follow those basic rules that everyone on Reddit is telling me to follow in order to make sure it's not a total and complete failure at launch.
yeah,
So I followed all the rules, did all the good things. I'm really proud of what it became. But for me, it was really just like, I'm going to get this out there because I finally did this thing. And, there's so many people that can say it nowadays because of how like in depth the independent publishing community is now, but so few people still can really say like I saw this to fruition and I finally did the thing.
Yeah,
And now it's kind of harder to just like be able to step back from that and be like I still have to keep doing the thing though.
yeah. It's there's a great David Foster Wallace quote where he talks about, oh, you kind of sacrifice the idea in your head because it's so perfect there, and because when you have to translate it, the image, sometimes something gets lost. And I think also for creators, it's easy to get caught up in romance. If that makes sense.
Yes.
You have this great idea, and you almost see it play out in your head. Like you saw the movie already, and you're like,
Yep.
I've seen the movie. Why do I need to bother to put it to pen? I have that with what I'm turning into an audio drama now called "Burn the Old Gods."
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that one.
It's already in my head. Like I've already written like 2 pages of prose about it. It's already there. And I'm like, oh no, but I really have to like break it down and write lines and give it to actors and be like, what do you think it means?
Yeah.
I
What
already
is
have the
your
line written in
motivation?
my head.
Like it's great that you want to know what your motivation should be for this scene, but I want to know what you think your motivation should be
Yeah.
for this scene because right now this is just my amazing idea that I need out there. So please
Yeah.
tell me.
And like, yeah, I'll have that with scripts, and I'm trying to get past the I'm trying to get into the do it for me phase. It's hard sometimes when you're like writing, you're like, oh, I'm writing this, and it's like working out. You're like, I don't want to work out. Can I just jump to the end where like, and so right now I've been trying to um like kind of pick apart what I like about stories, what I don't like about stories. And I guess that was the whole point of the podcast, was just like there are a lot of review shows. There's so many reviews. Throw a rock, you're gonna hit a review show.
Mhm.
But I think for more than just picking apart like what I think something is about in a very subjective manner. When you look at storytelling, do you is your first reaction just to be like, what do I think this is about, and how do I, or do you try to like see what you like, what you don't like about things?
So I'm very like I'm a huge TV person, so I binge watch a lot of television. I do my very best to watch as much as I can. I give the first couple episodes to give myself a feeling of what's actually going on in the show before I dive into the characters. But if I catch a glimpse of a character in those first couple episodes, my process kind of becomes, well, if this person isn't the main character, I'm curious where their story goes to see why they're in this if they're not a main character. If the person that catches my eye is the main character, I'm like, I need to know A, B, and C. Like, where did you come from? More shows should have backstories for characters, like throughout the consistency of their airing. But I'm always most curious about where the character started from and how they got here. So I like shows that start at the beginning of that character's kind of like journey,
Yeah.
not ones where they like pick up and it's like, hey, we did this thing 5 years ago that you guys never saw.
It, you know what? That's one of the I started reading One Piece, and the difference between the anime and the manga is the manga starts right when Luffy's a child, and when he decides he wants to become king of the pirates. And I was like, I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm down for this child's journey. So I get that like, oh, let me feel the same feelings you're feeling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I think so many good animes and mangas do that because you have to start from the very beginning
Yeah,
for that to happen. Most like, real time, real life shows can't start like that, I guess, because we're all adults in the middle of or
life.
end of our journeys. Yeah. So I guess it is a lot harder to portray that unless you're starting off with like a 14-year-old kid who was birthed as a 14-year-old and now they're input to all this drama.
Or you can do Star Wars and do both.
That's valid. Or anything time traveling, just begin your life over. And that's all I need from you.
You know
That's
what?
your beginning.
You just made me realize that. So Star Wars starts in the middle of the conflict of the rebellion, but it's also the beginning of Luke's story. So they did both.
What a weird series Star Wars became. It's so consistent, yet also all over the place, yet also so in line with where it's supposed to be.
Which actually brings me to my next question so beautifully. When you look at critical reception, uh, do you feel like it needs to, like, if you like something, that's all you need, or it's like, oh, when you look at consensus, and you're like, oh, that's considered bad. Maybe. I just feel like sometimes you have to almost take like a weird stand. You're like, I like this. No, I don't care what the internet says.
I grew up a really, really, really crazy Disney kid, so I have always been against the popular opinion
Yeah,
for most things. So if someone says that something is really, really, really bad, I will probably enjoy the hell out of that show or
yeah.
that movie. If someone swears by the show, I will probably watch the pilot and be like, that is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Why did you think I would like that?
Yeah.
I'm not really like, I don't know. My taste in TV is so wide though at the same time that I'm not too specific with what I watch, but if I get into it, I get into it.
Yeah. No, I feel like I have to want it. I'm not crazy about Stranger Things, and people think I'm crazy.
I
But
was crazy about Stranger Things season 1, and then things just stayed the same and it just felt like season 1 on repeat. I liked season 1 the first time. I didn't need it a second and a third time too.
funny enough, yeah, no, my wife liked Stranger Things season one, and then she fell off at season two. Like it just wasn't clicking, and characters were
Yeah.
interesting.
There
Being a jerk.
their most recent season that isn't their final one, if that's airing right now, I actually don't know, but the one where that poor Eddie boy dies was probably, like, those 2 episodes are probably the best 2 episodes they've ever had as a series.
Yeah,
But as a series, it's just not what it was in season 1.
yeah. Right now, I'm trying to, just in terms of storytelling, I'm trying to like holster the game of like, no, games can have really artistic stories, but like not telling other nerds because we know that that's been known. Telling like people who don't know about games. I feel like the last couple of my episodes have been like, I feel like there's popular forms of storytelling, and there's like unpopular forms of storytelling, or forms of storytelling that haven't hit the mainstream. When you look at your inspiration other than TV, do you feel like you can just get it from anywhere, as long as it's like emotional, or you can relate to it in somehow?
I think I don't think so. I think a lot of my inspiration really is just television and movies. Like, I need to see the things happening,
Yeah,
and I need to, like, physically and emotionally feel the things that are happening. I don't feel like I can do that. I have a very active imagination, but reading a book and trying to picture all of that is so much more than being able to see it happen and feel the things with the people. Like, that person starts crying on the television, I have been crying for 20 minutes now. So, it's I'm a TV and movies. I like to call myself a TV emotional, movie emotional person because, I mean, all of my inspiration comes from anything I've ever watched nonstop on television growing up.
yeah. Brian Cranston had a really interesting quote when he talks about acting, and he's just like, if someone just starts crying, it's easy to dismiss it, but if someone fights it and goes through the same motions that you go through, and it's easy to be like,
Yeah, like actual tear jerking moments where you can see their eyes watering and their throat is moving, and you're like,
yeah.
oh, I'm fighting back.
um, I've been playing Marvel Spider-Man 2, and there's a moment where I got emotional. Like, excuse me, this is a side mission. Why am I getting emotional? You have to like, the mission's called My Grandpa's Missing,
Jeez.
and you have to like find this grandpa that's wandered off.
And
And
they just,
you find him at like a little bench, and he's looking at like this pond, and he talks about how like he misses his wife, and how life just goes by in a blink of an eye, and Spider-Man just takes a moment to really sit and talk with him about it. And I'm like, excuse me, video game.
Why are you making me feel this
Why
way?
are you making me feel these things for the side mission right now?
But it's also Spider-Man, so I guess you kind of have to expect to feel that way, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting it. So like it just with the quirky name and but yeah, no, it's just interesting where these emotional things can pop up from.
It's
So
really, yeah, it's really just TV and movies that make me emotional. There's not much in the real world that shakes me, but something happening to someone on TV
yeah,
that probably happened to me 5 days ago, like, holy crap, you poor soul. Like, I'm here for you. I'm crying. But like, it happened to me 5 days ago, and I was like, who are you?
yeah. Who are you? Yeah, no, you can relate to. I feel like what's nice is there's almost what I love about fiction is there's a validity in experiences that characters can go through, in that your experience suddenly being on a massive, you know, whether it's a show, whether it's a movie on a massive scale, you can be like, oh yeah, this isn't weird. I'm not experiencing this. Other people are experiencing this as well.
But then you start to think about, like, wow, like, this is crazy fiction and very unlikely, but this could happen to me one day.
Yeah.
And then you go down that hole and you're like, I should write about this.
I do you have you seen the show Our Flag Means Death?
No.
Okay, it's incredible. It's on its second season. It's a pirate love story
Oh, I
with
don't know if, see, shows going on right now are hard for me. I'm a binger.
well, yeah, I was gonna say the whole first season's out, and pretty much the second season is pretty much almost out. It's like one more episode, and there's like the way season one ends. I was hurt. I was like, excuse me, you can't end this way.
I love when a
Like,
show makes me feel like that.
yeah, the way season two is looking to end. Like, excuse me, you can't end. You're not allowed to end this way. If someone were to pick up something you wrote and come up to you like, excuse me, Cody, you can't make me feel this way.
I
Is
think
that like the is that a peak?
that's a peak for me. I'd be like, thank you, and you're welcome. I'm exactly making you feel that way. Here you go. I would be so excited if someone said that to me.
I got to say that to some artists, and it's a great feeling when you're like, "This is how it made me feel."
If I think there's so many creative people out there that I want to go up to and be like, this is what you made me feel. I have felt a lot of things because of a lot of creators.
Yeah, it's it's a cool thing when you can really like see the impact what you've written or what you've made has on people. Um, so, for example, I the last episode I did was on a movie called Blue Giant, and just being like, oh, I want to actually see the movie. And I'm like, great, that's the whole point. I got you hooked. I try not to spoil anything
Mhm.
that
That must be so hard.
you have no idea how hard it is. You talk in circles. You talk in circles. You're like, and the thing happened. Trust me, it happened. Like, and you're trying
I
to like.
can't tell you what else is happening while that's happening.
I think Spider-Man 3 was the only episode I did where I could just rip into it, and I'm like, everyone's seen Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
My divisive take on Spider-Man 3 that it's not awful.
I don't think any of the Spider-Man movie are awful. I think most of those movies got a bad rap because they just weren't the in movies at the time. If
Yeah,
they were made with the same actors when Marvel was really blowing up, those movies would have slammed.
I mean, I like Amazing Spider-Man too. I know that's also not a popular decision.
No, I think Andrew Garfield is probably my favorite Spider-Man.
I knew we were friends for a reason.
It's just a solid fact. He actually looks the part.
I think he has a great blend of Peter and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I like Tom, and I love Toby, and I think they're both great, and I think I like them for all different reasons. but I think consistently Andrew Garfield is my favorite.
Andrew Garfield is Spider-Man. Tom Holland's the perfect like
He's
alternate
very bully
reality.
charm. His teenagers, Peter. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Um, so speaking of schoolish things, when you're writing, do you have to like put on music or do you just white noise it and just block out?
Um, Actually, I literally put on television shows or movies. If I can't focus on a specific show, or I literally just like I don't need to watch anything, I'll listen to music. But
Mhm.
if I decide to listen to music, I'll just find like a musical to watch, and it's two very specific ones right now. So very specifically.
Um, I think with a lot of franchises and series, because you as mentioned as the series, you plan to continue this.
Hmm.
Um, do you think about the ending?
I
I feel like it's a good ending is really important, just as much as a good beginning is like a hook, but like just where you can leave people in a happy place. We talked about Star Wars earlier, how it's all they had a great ending and and then they're like, no, three more episodes. And
three more.
then episode nine left people with like a very wonky taste to them. Some people love it, some people hate it, but still, it's you had what was more universally agreed on happy. Do you think not enough franchises think about the ending?
I think that they might spend too much time thinking about the ending, and that's really the issue. Uh, and I think that might be a part of the reason that a lot of it just goes to hell too at the end. To be honest, I feel like there's just not enough consistency between the ending for a lot of shows or movies or series and books that just like end properly. There's always that one thing that's like left over that was supposed to be discussed, but we didn't have enough pages or we didn't have enough screen time left to really fix that.
Yeah,
No deleted scenes because we're in a streaming world now.
yeah. It's funny enough. Disney Plus, I think, is cool. Will have for some films, they'll have the deleted scenes and the extras feature.
Oh, I haven't used Disney Plus in so long. I am very interested in that feature.
Like they had some deleted scenes for Endgame, where after Tony does the snap, you see him talking to like an older version of his daughter.
Oh,
Yeah, like it's cool. I think deleted scenes are interesting. And I guess my prior question, are you thinking about your ending for your series? Like I
so
know I need to get to this area. It's just how I get there.
yeah. So in a way, like the series is all around based off of characters I've been working on since I was a kid. So
Mhm.
like I've been thinking about the ending for these characters for a very long time. Um, I have decided exactly where book 3 and 4 and 5 are going to go. Book 5 is going to be the last book. I know exactly where everything is going to go and what's going to happen. And I can assure everybody that I am probably going to be the only person that's satisfied by that ending. Because it will be just as chaotic as Spirit Beasts, but beautiful. It's going to be like a beautiful way to end the series, but also like what the actual heck just happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm enjoying it. Again, I'm sorry, I'm just a slow reader.
I am the slowest reader I know. It's so hard for me to read a page, but I can watch anything in a week.
The Witcher series took me a very long time to read, especially the last couple books. Um, but no, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and talk about your book and just storytelling in general. Spirit
Yeah.
of the Moon, Spirit Beast, Echoes of the Moon. You can find on Amazon. Cody Rose, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for having me. This
No
was a
problem.
blast.
I hope you. I'd love to do this again if you're.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we
I,
can.
I have I have a couple of different ideas in the pipeline right now that I'm working on. In general, both with this series and something that's totally weird and totally unrelated, but something that my whole body and soul I think needs to do to really feel revitalized from
Yeah.
the whole self-publishing experience. Because they don't tell you how draining it really is to do that, but it was a
I
wild
would
two
say I've
weeks.
courted a self-publishing company, so I can I know exactly what you're talking about.
It is a lot.
But well, maybe we could do a reverse where once old Burn the Old Gods come out, I can be in the other chair.
Yes, and also if you're casting, I might audition. So
Well, I'll definitely keep you updated about that. But thank you for joining me today.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, you too.